In the beginning of the story, you might actually root for Johnny Allen Richards and Erin Brooke Lawson. They're the couple who were having sex a little too loud. That's according to their neighbors. Now, I would normally say, let them go! Let them go!
Yes, Cenk, because everyone would root for a couple who is constantly broadcasting their sex life to the public, making everyone feel uncomfortable. Reality is, Cenk, you would also be one of those people to call the police if you asked the couple to stop, yet they kept going. Obviously, I am not saying no one should be having sex, but people should have some common sense and keep it within their own home, and most people would care if they could hear it from across the yard. But that's not the focus of the video, so let's move on from Cenk's immaturity.
But apparently they'd been causing a lot of disturbances, and you'll see that that is not uncommon for them in a second. So one time a neighbor goes by and knocks on the door and says, come on, guys, and they were also fighting. Just keep it down a little bit. And so what happens next? Well, Richards and Lawson knocked on their next door neighbor's door. When he opened it, Lawson hit him with a rake, breaking it off its handle, police said. She then used a broken handle to stab him in the arm. Okay, so they went house on the guy. And then the male here, Johnny Allen Richards, also grabbed a 2x2 stick and started beating him with it.
I want to make it clear that at this point, Cenk left out the part where they were having a domestic dispute in which Lawson, the female, was beating Richards with the same 2x2 that Richards used on Gallin. Now if Richards had attacked Lawson, Cenk would have been raving and ranting about Richards being a putrid excuse of a man, but since it's not something he could use for an emotional response, it's of no use to him.
So obviously they get arrested. You see their mugshots there. Erin Lawson there has the bump on her head because she passed out while being booked and hit her head on the table. Now, normally, I might be a little skeptical of that story.
But why? Why is there a reason to be skeptical about a couple beating a neighbor with weapons for calling the police multiple times over the past week? You really do like to throw common sense out the window every time you report on a story, Cenk. Apparently critical thinking is not your strong point.
But in this case, when you see their rap sheet, you might not be surprised at their level of lack of cooperation with the police and lack of cooperation with their neighbors and everyone else in civilized society. This is amazing. According to the New York Daily News, since 2001, Richards has been arrested 45 times for charges including burglary, theft, and assault, while Lawson has been arrested 31 times for charges including drug trafficking, stalking, and theft. Now look, I don't know for a fact what would have happened to them if they were black.
Oh Jesus fucking Christ. Here we go again with the whole race agenda bullshit.
But it is amazing that these guys can get arrested 45 times, 31 times, and then beat the living crap out of a neighbor and then get arrested again. And then the cops, you know, they're right here. Look, I don't want the cops to do anything wrong with them, and there's no charges that here. They're not charging it. Nobody is, okay? You just keep on arresting them, putting them back on the street. Arrest them, put them back on the street. This justice system will crush you, spit you out on a regular basis. But somehow, these people are still around, out there, allowed to terrorize their neighbors.
For talking a lot about the justice system, it seems you fail to understand the difference between charge and conviction. Anyone, and I mean anyone, can be charged numerously. It doesn't always mean that the charges were correct. They can be dismissed for many reasons, whether it be the crime wasn't that sufficient for conviction, or it didn't happen at all. I'm not saying that they didn't commit the 40 other crimes they were charged with, but that doesn't mean that they were not convicted just because they were fucking white. That's the stupidest excuse you could have used. I don't see how being arrested over and over, giving me a criminal record which exempts me from most decent paying jobs, and sleeping in a jail cell more than I do at home is white privilege. Now, since you want to talk about this privilege of being let out after being arrested, let's talk about a case that is exactly like this one. Bayna El-Amin was recently arrested and was charged for battery on a man during a dispute at a local New York bar. His criminal record has about 18 arrests, including collars for assault, narcotics possession, credit card fraud, shoplifting, and possession of stolen property. Now the difference being two things. He is a convicted felon. Not just charged, but convicted. On top of that, he is also black. A convicted black felon was arrested over 18 times and yet was still left to, as you would say, terrorize the public. So Cenk, where is the explanation of that? Not only was this man black, but he was a convicted felon, unlike Richards and Lawson. He has a heavier criminal record than them, yet he had the same quote-unquote privilege of being arrested and let out on the streets.
What in the world?
Exactly. What in the world is going through your fucking head?
Okay, it's a small case, and you can't judge for a fact how it would have turned out in any other circumstance. So I know that.
Alright then, end the video. It's over. Don't say anything more. You've just stated that you can't tell what would happen in any other situation, so don't try to elaborate against the idea.
But it's just an interesting little story about what some people can get away in this country and where it seems that others might not be able to get away with it.
If you're talking about their criminal record, okay, that's still up for debate. But for this case, right here and now, they didn't get away with anything. They were arrested and are now sitting behind bars awaiting for whatever happens next. If they so-called got away with it, they wouldn't be held in a jail cell right now and instead would be at home having loud annoying sex while beating the shit out of each other.
Remember, Eric Garner was choked to death for selling untaxed loose cigarettes. These guys out in the street.
First of all, you fucking idiot, Eric Garner is an unrelated case. Race had nothing to do with it. They were trying to detain him and he didn't comply, which is why the cop used the illegal chokehold. No, he shouldn't have died, and no, the cop should not have used the chokehold, but this has nothing to do with this case and shouldn't have been brought up. Second of all, they're not out on the streets. You are making these things up just to get an emotional reaction and push your stupid fucking racial agenda in a place where it doesn't even matter. None of these things you mentioned had anything to do with race, but you seem to always think that everything in this world happens because of race. Please, Cenk, if you want to make a decent change in the world, stop fucking opening your mouth.